Hi, my name is Rachel Jackson, and I read the book Letters to a Young Teacher by Jonathan Kozol. This is my presentation of his most important points. A little bit about the author. He was an English literature major and he taught in the Boston school system in 1964, but he was fired for teaching Black poetry writer Langston Hughes to an inner-city school. He later accepted a job in his childhood town, began acting as a civil and educational rights activist, and still today he travels to school districts around the country to hear and fight for common issues that teachers have. A little bit about the book. It was written as a series of letters to a first-year teacher who was struggling with her system of low-income school. It discusses issues about obedience to the administration, making friends inside the school, inspiring students to learn even despite bad learning environments, political influences such as standardized testing and vouchers, and the most important point was teachers acting on behalf of students. The main point was actually something that Kozol said himself in the book. He said, even in the most adverse conditions, the work of a good teacher ought to be an act of stalwart celebration. It is in that sense of celebration, in my own belief at least, that teachers who have chosen out of love to work with children to find their ultimate reward. If there's a single message I wish I could pass on to young teachers and to people thinking about teaching, that would be the one. Other more important things that Kozol said teachers should consider: always be nurturing. Look at your students as eager minds, not as numbers or statistics. Cherish the time you get to spend with your students because you'll look back on them as very fond memories. Build good relationships with your students' parents. Look to students to remind you of the joys of teaching when you get down or discouraged. Find ways to relate necessary objectives to points of student interest. And always be a witness for your students. My thoughts about the book: I thought it was a very inspiring book, especially for new and future teachers. There was a section of about 60 pages, though, that just kind of got lost for me. It kind of revolved around political agenda. But it did eventually get back on track and catch up on its inspiration. It was written a bit formally for me, big words that kind of got lost in meaning. Overall, though, I think it was a great book that presented perspectives of teaching I hadn't thought about, and I plan to buy a copy for myself. Once again, that was my presentation of Letters to a Young Teacher, the book written by Jonathan Kozol. My name is Rachel Jackson.